Title: Unemployment Insurance Contact. Telephone Claims Center. Call the Telephone Claims Center, TCC, toll-free at 888-209-8124 during the hours of operation, Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Due to enormous volume, there may be considerable wait time. Please be patient. Everyone who is entitled will get their benefits. If you are a deaf or hard of hearing individual who is being assisted by another person, call the Telephone Claims Center at 888-783-1370. However, if you use TTY or TDD, call a relay operator first at 800-662-1220 and ask the operator to call the Telephone Claims Center. Please note that the TCC staff cannot help you with issues related to your ny.gov account, such as difficulty logging in, changing your personal information, or resetting your password. For ny.gov assistance, please call 800-833-3000. Email. If you have a general unemployment insurance UI question or a claim-specific question not answered in our frequently asked questions section, you may send us a secure message. Sign in with your ny.gov ID and click on Messages. Read How to Send a Message for more information. See frequently asked questions, FAQs, and customer tutorials to help you get started with ny.gov ID. Read all of the unemployment insurance frequently asked questions. Write. Be sure that your social security number appears at the top of the right-hand corner on all pages. New York State Department of Labor, P.O. Box 15130, Albany, New York 12212, 5130. Fax. Be sure that your social security number appears at the top of the right-hand corner on all pages. Save your fax confirmation sheet as we do not confirm the receipt of a fax or written correspondence. Five one eight 457 9378. Weekly benefits. It's best to claim weekly benefits or obtain benefit payment information online with your ny.gov ID. Certify online. Or call 1-888-581-5812. If you use TTY or TDD, call a relay operator first at 800-662-1220 and ask the operator to call the telephone claim center at 888-783-1370. You may claim your weekly benefits Monday through Friday from 7:30 a.m. until midnight, and from 12:01 a.m. Saturday until midnight on Sunday. You may request payment the first week following the week you initiate a claim, or on Sunday at the end of the week that you are claiming. Weekly claims made on Sunday are for the week ending that day. Debit card questions. Call KeyBank customer service at 866-295-2955. Request a hearing. Your written request must be received within 30 days of the determination. Be sure that your Social Security number appears at the top right-hand corner on all pages. Right. New York State Department of Labor, P.O. Box 15131, Albany, New York 12212, 5131. Suspected fraud. You can report UI benefits fraud 3 ways. Online form. Call our hotline toll-free at 888-598-2077. Your call can be made anonymously. Report by mail to New York State Department of Labor, Office of Special Investigations, Building 12, Room 576, W. Averill Harriman Campus, Albany, New York 12226. To report employers committing fraud, please see the Employer UI Fraud page. Payment plan. Call the collections unit at 800-533-6600. Right. Mail your request to Unemployment Insurance Division, NYS Department of Labor, P.O. Box 1195, Albany, New York 12201. Be sure to write your Social Security number on your request.